Hi everyone, Spiderman1991 here on DarkAvengerINCPlus again, and I'm here to complete a mission for Jeremy JALGhul origin files. Pretty much talk about how I started, I guess. When I was a kid, I loved superheroes. Probably my favorite Saturday morning cartoon at the time was Superman the Animated Series, and also the New Batman Adventures, which were the Batman cartoons that were kind of a continuation of Batman the Animated Series, and they featured Tim Drake as Robin, and I really liked that. And it kind of got me. Those shows kind of pushed me towards comics, because eventually, when I found out there was another Robin on Batman the Animated Series, I was kind of like, wait, did they really do that? And I looked it up from online, and also from Batman the Ultimate Guide, which was at my local library. I noticed that they had more than one Robin, and I was like, wow, I should start reading comics. But I was a kid, and I had to read all day in school, and I wasn't really a big fan of it, doing that in my free time. It took a while before I eventually started to read for fun. By the time I was a teenager, starting high school, I eventually started to read comics when I walked in Barnes & Noble one day, and this was after Fantastic Four came out. I started reading Marvel Masterworks Volume 1 of Fantastic Four, and I thought, wow, this is pretty interesting. And eventually I moved on, and then after reading Volume 1 of that, I decided to get Volume 1 of Spider-Man, because, Spider-Man I saw everywhere. I used to watch that cartoon occasionally. It was still on early in the morning, which I used to catch before school, but eventually I decided to read the comic, starting with the very beginning with Marvel Masterworks Volume 1 of Amazing Spider-Man, which collected the first 10 issues of Amazing Spider-Man, as well as Amazing Fantasy number 15, and I fell in love with the story. I really loved the character of Spider-Man and Peter Parker. I found them extremely relatable during high school, and I wanted more. I eventually started to buy almost every Spider-Man graphic novel I could afford. I was really anxious when Spider-Man 3 came out. That's a different story for what happened afterwards, but eventually my love for Spider-Man eventually continued with the Fantastic Four, X-Men, Avengers, pretty much most of Marvel, but then Civil War happened, and I was kind of like, okay, this is a rather interesting turn of events. But then what followed afterwards with Death of Captain America, and especially One More Day, I was just really pissed that they erased the marriage of Peter Parker and Mary Jane. At that point, I just kind of gave up on Marvel, and that eventually led me to try some DC comics, where it helped rekindle some love of my childhood cartoons by reading Superman, Batman. Then, I started reading DC comics with with Legion of Superheroes and Teen Titans, because I kind of stuck with that realm of teen heroes, so to speak, at the time. And eventually Teen Titans, then Green Lantern, Superman, Batman, and that was great. But by the time I was graduating or whatever, I decided to I had some money, and I decided to get a video camera and do something on YouTube. And I was kind of wondering what should I do, and I originally started with a review of a Power Rangers toy, but then I ultimately settled on comic books when I noticed that there weren't really a lot of comic reviewers. I figured, okay, that's obviously something not a lot of people are doing. Maybe I could try that. And I also used to watch this one YouTube channel that reviewed comics, Comic Book Club. 3 guys who used to review comics, but eventually that channel kind of died out recently. They still review comics, but they have a live show in New York City, and also a podcast, which I think right now is still available on iTunes, or you can get it off Nerdist.com. I started reviewing YouTube comics shortly after I started reviewing comic books after that. I figured, what the hell? And at the time, though, my pull list was, and I started picking up comics monthly at that point. Before that, I was just reading graphic novels, but then I started picking them up monthly. Mainly, one of my motivations was because of Blackest Night. So I started picking them up, reading. It was great. My pull list at the time was mostly DC. Eventually, I did go back to Marvel, and I did go back to Amazing Spider-Man when I realized, okay, one more day happened. The most healthy thing I can do is just move forward and forget and just move past it. Maybe there will be some good. And I was right. Eventually, Amazing Spider-Man did get to be amazing again, thanks to Big Time, mostly. So there you go. That's and eventually I did meet Dark Avenger C86 Chris. We exchanged a few messages, commented on each other's videos, and then eventually he asked me about Comic Community Central. I said yeah, sure. And then Dark Avenger Inc. When he asked me at the time, I was busy, so I couldn't really get involved with it. But then he came to me with INCPlus, and I figured, well, he's my friend, so I should help him out. So so that's how I got onto INCPlus. Okay, so basically my origin in a nutshell is I was 18, had some money, bought a video camera, decided to do comic reviews on YouTube. That's the summary version of it. But so there's my origin. Mission complete. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing to Dark Avenger INCPlus, and also subscribe to the main channel, Dark Avenger Inc. as well. They've got some awesome talent over there. Spiderman1991's saying see you later.